Alright, welcome back to another episode. Today we cover the article about Frank-Walter Steinmeier, or Frank-Walter Steinmeier, depends on which way you want to pronounce that, but yeah. A Wikipedia article about basically the kind of not like president, but the president of Germany, if you were to say it like that. And yeah, I think let's just get into it. So, here we have, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, 5. Januar 1956, geboren in Detmold, ist ein deutscher Politiker, SPD, seit 2017 ruhend. Er ist nach seiner Wahl im Februar 2017 seit dem 19. März 2017 der 12. Bundespräsident der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Am 13. Februar 2022 wurde er für eine zweite Amtszeit wiedergewählt, die mit dem 18. März 2027 endet. In den Jahren 1999 bis 2005 war Steinmeier Chef des Bundeskanzleramtes unter Gerhard Schröder, von 2005 bis 2009 (Kabinett Merkel I), Außenminister und ab 2007 auch Vizekanzler der Bundesrepublik. Seine zweite Amtszeit als Außenminister dauerte von 2013 bis 2017 (Kabinett Merkel III). Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat der SPD bei der Bundestagswahl 2009 war er von 2009 bis 2013 Vorsitzender der SPD-Bundestagsfraktion und damit auch Oppositionsführer. Alright. Please don't mind if I pronounce anything slightly incorrect, but I think you get what I mean. So, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, by the way, as I already said in previous videos, you don't necessarily need to say it in Klammern, so in brackets. You can just say 5. Januar 1956 geboren in Detmold, or geboren 5. Januar 1956. You know, that stands for born. I think you know that. And, yeah. So, this is him, obviously. 5th of January 1956. In Detmold, which is a city in, I think, North Rhine-Westphalia. Yeah, it stands right there. Ist ein deutscher Politiker, is a German politician. SPD, which is a party in Germany. One of the, I think, 2 or 3 main parties. Seit 2017 ruhend. Since 2017. This just means that he is in, in Rente. Kind of retired, but yeah, in this case, I mean, he's still like working, but it kind of means he's retired. Ruhen just means, this comes from the word Ruhe, which just means kind of silence, quiet, like when something's calmness rather. Yeah, calmness. But, yeah. Er ist nach seiner Wahl im Februar 2017 seit dem 19. März 2017 der 12. Bundespräsident der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Er ist nach seiner Wahl im Februar 2017. He is after his election. Wahl can also mean like choice, like you choose somebody, but in this case, this is the same word as if you were to say an election. So after his election in February 2017, seit dem 19. März 2017, since the 19th of March 2017, der 12. Bundespräsident, the 12th Bundespräsident, that's what I was kind of referring to. It's not like the president like you have of the United States. I mean, it's basically got the same role because it's the president of all the United States and they all have like their governors. It kind of works the same way, but in Germany it's a different thing because you also have a chancellor, which is the head, kind of the boss kind of all the ministers, I guess, but I'm not quite sure. Don't mind if I explain it the wrong way. I'm here for the German words, but I think it's kind of this way. And he is, let me just check, Bundespräsident. Yeah, this is kind of like the president, so it's got a bit more power, I guess, than the chancellor, but in general, everyone just sees the chancellor as the, kind of more as the president, but yeah. Der 12. Bundespräsident der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. That just means is the like kind of official name. Everyone of course just says Deutschland or Germany, but this just means the, what's it called? Bundesrepublik. Federal Republic. Yeah, it's kind of the same as like the when you, because like in terms of Czechia, I don't know which way you say that, you also say like Czech Republic, that's just kind of the name. Yeah, but you don't need to say that. But that is very common in terms of politics and yeah. Am 13. Februar 2022 wurde er für eine zweite Amtszeit wiedergewählt, die mit dem 18. März 2027 endet. On the 13th of February in 2022 wurde er für eine zweite Amtszeit wiedergewählt. Wurde, as I already explained in previous videos, is just like this. He is just refers to the passive. This, of course, word by word would mean he became, because that's the past of becoming, kind of. Not kind of, but is. So he became, kind of, you could say, became elected, but that's not the way you say that in English. You say he got elected. Or in this case, re-elected, I guess. Wiedergewählt should mean re-elected, yeah. So he got, or like got he for a second time in this case, but Amtszeit refers to the time in office, I guess. Term of office, yeah, but this just means like period in office, as it was written there as a translation. So he got elected for a second period in office, die mit dem 18. März 2027 endet. That with the 18th of March 2027 ends. Yeah, so he got elected for a second time or period in office that ends with the 18th of March 2027. Next part. I think we're just gonna do this because it always takes longer than you think. But yeah. In den Jahren 1999 bis 2005 war Steinmeier Chef des Bundeskanzleramtes unter Gerhard Schröder, von 2005 bis 2009 in Klammern Kabinett Merkel I, Außenminister und ab 2007 auch Vizekanzler der Bundesrepublik. So that just means in the years 1999 until 2005 was Steinmeier Chef des Bundeskanzleramts. Please don't confuse. Chef in English means the kind of boss of a restaurant. The, what do you call this? Chef. Yeah, I guess you say boss. Of a restaurant, always in terms of food, but in Germany, or in German as general, chef just means the boss. So, I mean, this is I think you call a false friend in English, like with the word eventually and eventuell, or I don't know what other examples, but there are definitely other, but in this case, keep in mind chef just means boss, and for the German speakers, I don't think there are German speakers listening to me, but maybe there are, but of course this in English always means chef in terms of a kitchen, a restaurant, you know. Alright, in the years from 1999 till 2005, he was the boss of the Bundeskanzleramt, which I think is just the, not I think, but is the, what's it called, Amt. That's probably not, yeah, government office, yeah, I guess you could say the Bundeskanzleramt. Federal Chancellery, yeah, I think that's kind of correct. But in general, yeah, he was the boss of the position of the Chancellor office, I don't know, something like that. But I think you get what I mean. Unter Gerhard Schröder, unter generally means under, but in this case it's referring to he was working for him. Unter Gerhard Schröder, who was the Chancellor at that time, I think. 1999 till 2005, he was the Chancellor. From October 1998 to 2005. From 2005 von 2005 bis 2009, from 2005 to 2009, in Klammern Kabinett Merkel 1, in brackets Cabinet Merkel 1, which I think is just the reigning period, I guess. The reigning, of course, with A-E and reigning period, I think. Of course, that is this. But you get what I mean. I think that's called cabinet. There are always these kind of difficult words that you don't necessarily need to know, but they're used in these terms. I mean, you need to know them if you want to be like completely fluent, but yeah. Anyways, Außenminister, which just means the what's it called? The let me just say that. I don't have the word right now. The Außenminister, Foreign Minister, yeah. I think right now it should be, if I'm not totally incorrect. Let me just check. Außenminister Deutschland 2025. Marco Rubio, but I think we had a pretty, not famous, but kind of famous example before that, which was Annalena Baerbock. 2000. I think 23 was that even? Yeah, it was her. She was part of the Green Party. I think he is now part of the SPD party. SPD. Yeah. Anyways, Außenminister, yeah, he was the Foreign Minister und ab 2007 auch Vizekanzler der Bundesrepublik. And ab in general means is a prefix to a word and can mean like off. What's it called? Yeah, I think like abschneiden, for example, is cut off something. So it always refers to kind of ending. Abschließen, for example, can mean like to close something off. Eine Geschichte abschließen, to close a story, to end a story, kind of. Abholen can mean, I mean, this is a bad example, but you can like, ich hole mein Kind ab, in this case would mean I get my child, I go get my child, you know. But in general, this just refers to something ending, something kind of cutting off, you know, but not cutting off with a knife, but general terms. But why I'm doing this kind of excursion is because this just means, in this case, ab 2007 refers to a time span, ab 2007, which just means starting off 2007, in 2007. So it's kind of the, what's it called? The off-going, you could say. I mean, I don't know if you know what I mean, but this is kind of the the point where something is, in this case, beginning, but yeah, I think off-going, starting off is kind of the right way to put it, but yeah. So starting in 2007 auch Vizekanzler, which just means Vice Chancellor der Bundesrepublik of the, as I already explained, the Federal Republic, but this is just, Germany. By the way, you often in Germany also see the word, is it correct? But I think BRD, especially in DDR terms, but like if you refer to history with the DDR, with Germany being parted and Berlin being parted, but in general, BRD is still used today to just kind of use the short form of Germany. With Bundesrepublik, BR, Deutschland, Germany, BRD. Seine zweite Amtszeit als Außenminister dauerte von 2013 bis 2017 in Klammern Kabinett Merkels 3 in this case. By the way, let me just translate that sentence again as a whole. In den Jahren 1999 bis 2005 war Steinmeier Chef des Bundeskanzleramtes unter Gerhard Schröder, von 2005 bis 2009 in Klammern Kabinett Merkel I, Außenminister und ab 2007 auch Vizekanzler der Bundesrepublik. In the years 1999 until 2005, Steinmeier was the boss of the Federal Chancellor Office, kind of under, I don't know if you could say, but like under working for Gerhard Schröder, starting from 2005 to 2009, in brackets Cabinet Merkel I, he was the foreign minister, and starting off in 2007, or off of 2007, in 2007, also the Vice Chancellor of the Federal Republic. Seine zweite Amtszeit als Außenminister, his second, what was I saying? Amtszeit, not reigning period, what was I saying? Let me just translate that. I know we already had that, but yeah, sorry. Period of office, of course, yeah. His second period of office as foreign minister, I think you say in English took, but Dauer just means something takes this and this time. So, es dauert 2 Minuten, it takes 2 minutes. Es dauert 4 Stunden, it takes 4 hours. Es dauert, you could also kind of use it in terms of like length. Es dauert, but it's not really used that way, but es dauert 2 Kilometer, it takes 2 kilometers, but I think you get what I mean. But in general, it's, I think 99% of the time used, or 95, or rather 99, to describe a time span. Yeah. Seine zweite Zeit als Außenminister, his second time as, what's it called again? As foreign minister took from 2013 to 2017, or would rather say was from this to this maybe, but yeah. In brackets, Kabinett Merkel 3, Cabinet Merkel 3, which is the, I think, third, reigning period of hers, but yeah. Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat bei der SPD, let me just translate that again as a whole. His second reigning period as foreign minister took from 2013 to 2017, whilst under, you could say under probably, the cabinet, the reigning period of Merkel, under Merkel's third reigning period, or Merkels. Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat der SPD bei der Bundestagswahl 2009 war er von 2009 bis 2013 Vorsitzender der SPD-Bundestagsfraktion und damit auch Oppositionsführer. After the loss, you could say probably, Niederlage, I think it's a more general word, you can use it for losing a game, die Niederlage des Spiels, like in football or soccer or whatever you want to call it. or like Niederlage, like losing at chess or something, or in this case in an election. Niederlage, by the way, just to kind of dissect that word, Niederlage, just so that comes from the word nieder, which is a more like an elder word to describe that something is down, something is down somewhere. Nieder, I think it's still used in like Bavaria in some like instances, but not really that often, and sounds very, very old. Niederlage, Lage just means position, situation. So Niederlage means kind of a bad situation if you were to kind of really, really analyze that word, but this is if I were to really translate that word by word, downer situation. I don't know if downer in English has a different meaning, but a under bad, So he is like, in this case, underlying. I don't know if this is the right way to say that. Do you say underlying? Unterliegen. Yeah. But isn't there a word called underlying? Sorry, I'm just checking because this is kind of the way you were to say that. Yeah. In other circumstances you use that. So he's kind of negatively underlying, if you were to say it like that, the circumstances or the what's it called? Ergebnis. The results, of course, or the results of the election. That's if you were to kind of really word by word, but yeah. So he lost the election, that's the way you were to say that, but yeah. Nach der Niederlage, after the loss, as a chancellor candidate, let me just, Kanzlerkandidat, I know what it means, I'm just wanting to kind of hear what it sounds like. Kandidat, Chancellor, candidate, candidate, I think you can say it both ways, depends on if it's American or British, but yeah. Chancellor candidate, he, der SPD of the SPD, which is again one of the 2 or 3 main parties. I think right now there are like 3 main parties, which are, but I'm not quite sure because I don't have any freaking clue of that, but which is the CDU, CDU, the SPD, SPD, which are kind of they don't like each other, but right now they are in a coalition, so yeah. And then there are right now, which in the last few years they got pretty, what's it called? Not famous is not the right way, but like they got more and more votes, which is the Green Party. And yeah, then we have a few others like the word by word called lefts, the Die Linken. Then we have FDP, which I think they lost the last election and didn't even get into the Bundestag, I guess. And which ones do we also have? Of course we have the opposition party, which is the AfD, Alternative für Deutschland. By the way, CDU means Christian German, Christliche Deutsche Union, Christian German Union. Funnily enough, there is a, what's it called? A second party, which is basically the same, but for Bavaria, but it's kind of also a different party, but yeah, it's kind of complicated. Anyways. Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat der SPD, so which is the Soziale Partei Deutschland, I'm not quite sure, SPD, let me just, Sozialdemokratische Partei Deutschlands, yeah, of course, so Social Democratic Party of Germany, kind of. Not just kind of, it is that way. Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat, after the loss as the chancellor candidate of the SPD, bei der Bundestagswahl 2009 at the Bundestagswahl, which is kind of the general country election, but it elects the people that are like the way the Senate, I guess you could say, or translate that in English, is being put together, and which people, like how many people of which party are getting in there, and therefore like getting your interest into the Bundestag, I guess. And what's it called? Interessen unterstützen. Unterstützen. Support your interest in the Bundestag. Let me just translate Bundestag. I don't know if there's a word in English for that. Yeah, the Bundestag, I guess. So, at the Bundestag's election, by the way, the S is always referring to the genitive case, as I already explained in previous videos, because that is the Wahl, the election of which, of whom, in German, wessen Wahl, whose election, so it's the election of the Bundestag, so you just say, this is the kind of, what's it called, this is the thing is referring to, I guess you could say, it's relating to, yeah. So after his loss, I don't know how many times I've translated that, right, by the way, by now, but yeah. Nach der Niederlage als Kanzlerkandidat der SPD bei der Bundestagswahl 2009, after the loss as a chancellor candidate for the SPD at the Bundestags election 2009, was he von, just a general word referring to something, von just means like off, from, but in this case, in terms of time, so off, starting of 2009 until 2013, von 2009 bis 2013, of course, 2013, it's von bis is always starting off until, and this is just referring to the end point, you know. Vorsitzender, the head, I guess, of the, or the kind of boss, more or less, of the SPD Bundestagsfraktion, which just means the part of this party, of this, a political fraction, whatever, you know, party, which is sitting in the Bundestag, so a few people of this party which are getting into the Bundestag, und damit auch Oppositionsführer, and therefore, or with that, also opposition leader, Führer, of course, leader, opposition, of course, opposition, of course, opposition. So, just to explain it, I think 2009 until 2013, because at that time, Angela Merkel, was still the chancellor, and therefore she and her party, or the party she was in, CDU, of course, was the leading party. They were, I think, what was it? Probably, I think it was called the Jamaica Coalition. That was pretty coalition. That was pretty famous, not famous, but kind of famous. That was Schwarz-Gelb-Grün, which just means black, yellow, green, which should be CDU, CSU, as I already explained, is the Bavarian part of the CDU, which is kind of weird, but yeah. Because it's the same, but still it's a different one for Bavaria. Then we have the Freie Demokraten, which is the FDP, and the Greens, as I already said. And they were what's it called? They were a coalition, by the way. Just but that's what I want to say. Coalition. They were a coalition. Koalieren. They were. Yeah, that's, you can't pretty much say that in English. In German there's a verb for that, but in English there is not. So they were a coalition, kind of famous, but I don't know. And they were working together, so the SPD, which was his party, was the opposition, together of course with other, which were not in this in this reigning party, in this reigning coalition. Of course, as you probably know, coalitions always exist if one party is not the party that gets the main votes, so the second and third or less, the parties with less votes, whoever they want to build a coalition with, they have to work together and find each other. I think this year it's Koalition. Just, I know the excursion, you don't necessarily need to do that, but need to know that, but 2025. CDU, CSU und SPD. Yeah, it's funnily enough, because in the last years they were always kind of, no, we're not building a coalition with each other, and we hate each other, but we don't want to work with you, we are our own party. And now they have collated, I don't know if we need to get into that, but CDU, CSU, which are basically one but two in kind of, and the SPD, so they are collating, and this is probably not the word, but building their coalition. And yeah, I think that was it for today. I hope you liked it. Leave a like, leave a comment if you want to, and see you in the next video.